Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good night. I am King Pigley. This is Gaming Imperfectly, and welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I am King Pigley, and I hope you like what you see. Guys, every year in North America and around the world, hundreds, if not thousands, of people go missing. Some of them never seen again. And one guy in particular, David Paulides, who I've mentioned before, a former police detective, once he retired, got into writing books about these missing cases. And the name of the book series is Missing 411. I highly recommend them. I'll leave a link in the description below to where you can find out more about David Paulides and what he's doing. Also has his own YouTube channel. Go check him out. And today's case is absolutely completely out there in left field. Like, I can't even grasp how strange this is. And the more I think about it, the more I just go, your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, stick around because this one's just going to be weird. Guys, back in 2002, a young man named Christopher Thompkins vanished. And when I say he vanished, I mean he vanished without a trace. All right, this happened down in Georgia, not too far off of Highway 85, outside of Atlanta. Christopher Thompkins was, like I said, a young man. He was in his early 20s. He had, for all accounts from his family and everything else, a very positive outlook on life. There was no nefarious behaviors or anything like that that would lead him into having a lot of enemies or be in danger in any way, shape, or form. And he had a great job. He was actually surveying land. And if any of you guys have ever surveyed land, you know that it's a pretty good living, especially for a young man. You get some opportunities there. And not only that, but you get to work outdoors. I've surveyed land myself when I was a younger man, and I enjoyed it. It was like taking a hike every single day. I got to hike and got paid for it, kind of thing. And with Christopher, he was working on a four-man crew. And I don't know what they were doing in that particular day in Georgia, whether they were doing boundaries or just a road survey, I don't know. But the way it was working is that these particular young men were stretched out in a line. They were walking single file, and there was probably around 50 feet of space in between each person walking. Now, 50 feet is not a whole heck of a lot, guys. If you care to measure the distance, if you have a tape measure or something like that, it's really not that far. And so, since there were four people in a row, the first two people in line really couldn't see Christopher because he was at the very end of the line. And he was talking like he had gone to work that day. There was no signs of any troubling behavior. Chris wasn't worried about things. He hasn't expressed anything to his family. It was just a regular, normal day at work. And around 10:30ish in the morning, when him and his crew were walking, like I said, Chris was at the very back, the guy directly next to him. So again, you got him single file, 50 feet between each guys roughly. But Chris was talking, actually engaged in conversation with the guy in front of him as he walked. And the guy would occasionally turn around and kind of wave or talk to Chris, like, yeah, man, they were just having casual conversation. When all of a sudden, the guy walking in front of Chris turned around and saw him and said something to him, and they kind of wrapped up their conversation at that point in time. He by reports, kind of, ended whatever they were talking about. Like, Chris was like, yeah, that's a good point, kind of thing, and then that was the end of the conversation. So the guy turned around, and after walking for just a few minutes, he thought of something to say to Chris again, and he turned back around. Lo and behold, Chris is gone. No sign of Christopher anywhere. The guys immediately stopped. He yelled to the guys up front, hey, Christopher's gone, man, and they started calling out to him, Christopher, quit playing, this isn't funny, man, we got work to do, we don't have time to be goofing around. But there was no answer. Chris didn't answer, and after a few minutes, all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is really strange, and it became a little bit more, I guess, panicked, or I wouldn't say panicked, but desperate. The guys started realizing that maybe something was going on. But how could it be? Because they were just 50 feet separating these two guys. The closest guy to Chris. He was just talking to him. And suddenly he's gone. So they're looking around and they're like, yeah, we're like totally baffled. And they're calling to him, and they're really starting to search more in earnest, because now when they are starting to realize that this isn't a joke. Chris isn't playing. Chris is legitimately could be in trouble here. But what could have happened to him? I mean, he was just right here. So they were looking around, and they were searching high and low and this, that, and the other. And suddenly they came to a fence that was a few yards, like 50 yards away from where they were at. And when they got to that fence and they were doing a search up and down the road and everything where they were at, they found one of Chris's boots hanging on a fence. All right? A pile of change, 12 cents actually. There were 12 cents laying on the ground. His tools, his surveying tools, and actually a piece of blue fabric from the jeans that he was wearing. There was no blood. There was no sign of any kind of crazy struggle. Just one of his boots hanging on a barbed wire fence, and a piece of his pants, a little patch of fabric, and 12 cents in his tools. Right there. So now the surveyors are like, okay, this is crazy. And they'd actually been looking at this point in time for a couple of hours. Now, granted, I have always said I thought that these guys should have contacted the authorities shortly after realizing that this was actually a desperate or could be a dangerous situation. But shortly after this, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Chris has been missing for a few hours now. The surveying company finally contacted the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department sent men out there. They started looking. They couldn't find anything other than the original one boot, Christopher's work boot, hanging on a barbed wire fence, the change, the tools, and the little patch of his pants. That was all they found. It's really, really strange. So finally at 4:30 p.m., they contact Christopher's mother and inform her that Christopher's gone missing. And, of course, they were quite upset that these people didn't let them know that Chris had gone missing earlier in the day. I mean, he had been missing at this point in time somewhere around almost 10 hours. Of course, when they tried to initially file a police report, even though sheriff's deputies have already been notified, they just kind of like, well, Chris is a grown man, though. He's above the age of 18. So Christopher Thompkins' mother and family contacted, again, the police officially filed a missing persons report, and the search was on for Chris. They combed the area for days. They didn't find anything. It was zero traces, guys. Zero. There was nothing there. There's no blood. There's no sign of foul play. They did look initially, briefly, at the three companions, at the three co-workers of Christopher Thompkins, because, it's strange that for hours he was missing and they didn't tell anybody. Which kind of does lead you to maybe speculate that they killed Christopher himself and had plenty of time to get rid of the body. But after a short investigation, there's no motive. These guys had no bad blood with Christopher. They barely knew him outside of work. And so there was absolutely zero reason why they would kill Christopher in the first place. But also, after slight talking to these guys, police do their job. Police are the police. And I'm not saying they don't make mistakes, but they certainly know what they're doing. And for most cases, guys, they get things right when they're investigating. And detectives particularly have a very good sense of when they're talking to people, if they're telling the truth or not. And all three of these guys' stories basically were corroborated. And so they realized that, yes, these guys are telling the truth. They didn't kill Christopher and get rid of the body. They just made a really dumb decision by not immediately contacting the authorities to let them know that Christopher had gone missing. After a few days of searching, guys, the police actually told Christopher's parents, which I don't agree with this at all, that he most likely had just run off. I don't know where he ran off to without anything, why his pants were there, why a piece of his pants were on the ground. None of that makes sense to me. Why was there one boot? But where's he going with one shoe? I don't know. Christopher's mother, of course, completely rejected this from the police department, saying that there was no way. Christopher actually still lived with his mother. Like I said, he was a young man, maybe 21, I think, very young. And so Christopher was still living with his mother. He loved his mother. He loved his family. He wouldn't have just up and vanished. That's not Christopher's way. From all people that knew him, is that he would not do this. So to this day, Christopher has never been found. Although a month after he went missing, 900 yards away from where he went missing, a farmer on his property found Christopher's other shoe. So his other work boot was found a month after he went missing, 900 yards away. Who knows, guys? I completely have no clue about this one. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Leave it in the comment section below because I love hearing your guys' opinion on these cases and what you think happened. But this one just completely stumps me. It is literally like somebody grabbed Christopher and he vanished. Some people say, you know, there's alligators and stuff in Georgia and there's bears and, you know, but here's the thing. This dude was 50 feet behind a companion. I'm fairly certain they would have heard Chris be attacked by an animal. There wouldn't have been dead silence and all of a sudden Christopher would be gone. Again, why his clothing and why his change and stuff? Why was there a patch of his clothing? Why was one boot found one area and then another boot found 900 yards away in a completely different area? I don't know, but it's a terrible thing. Anyway, Christopher again has been missing ever since. There's no sign of him. The case is still open and ongoing, and it must be absolutely horrific for his family. I can only imagine. I wish them the best. But anyway, that's it for King Piggly today. Thank you so much for being here with me. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It helps me out, lets me know you're enjoying the content. And also, again, leave me something in the comment section below. I love hearing from you guys. And last but not least, if you're new to the channel and you've been here this long, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell, get the notifications. Guys, keep coming back. Don't miss out on the next strange, dark, mysterious, true story that I bring here to Gaming Imperfectly. But that's it. I'm out of here, and I will see you guys in the next video.